Hello, good day. Another great weekend for all my friends and travelers around the world. This is the fourth episode of my travel to Iran and the city of Shiraz, the part 2. I believe those who have actually joined me for the first episode of Shiraz Travels, you will definitely enjoy and understand how meaningful and how marvelous is this city that can offer through the travelers. And today we are going to share with you more of the place of interest in Shiraz, which actually cover 4 main areas as shown in the photograph in this slide. We are going to cover the Quran gates, the Nasir Al-Mulk mosque, and also Naranjitan's gardens, and also lastly the tomb of Hafiz. Right? So let's proceed with the proper of today's episode. As usual, the Iran location is in the Central Asia, and you can see from the maps, and we'll move on fast enough. And we are still in Shiraz, as I said earlier. It's a part 2 of my travelogue to Shiraz. So you can see that actually is the first stopover beside Tehran. It's the first stopover and an important city and form part of our highlight in our tour to Iran. And of course the locations is exactly shown at the southern portions of Iran, and of course quite close to the coast. And the first thing that in my list to share with you today is actually the Quran gates. Now Quran gates is located at the northeastern city entrance of Shiraz on the way to city of Madas and Isfahan. Now this gate and its surrounding are part of the city park, which later I will share with you the surrounding of these Quran gates. Now the gate was built during the reign of Adat at Dawla, right? And but have sustained a lot of damage by the time of Zen's dynasty. It was then restored with a small room added to the top of the gate, and where handwritten Quran by Sultan Ibrahim bin Shahrud Guri Khani were kept. So it's just a matter a very simple gate whereby that you can find before you enter the Shiraz city proper. So this is the view of the Quran gates as we walk by. You can see that from these images, the top of the gate there is a tree opening, and this is actually the room that I described just now. The added to these gates was only done recently. As our visit is during the New Year days, so you can see that there's quite a fair bit of crowd. In fact, I have mentioned in my earlier episode that the Shiraz is a very important city, not to the world travelers, but also to people in Iran. So you can see that this is the surrounding and the park that was quite built up to cater for the people of Iran. And there is actually man-made waterfall beside and within the park vicinity. Of course, you can see that some beautiful statues was placed, and also some of the tiles works was done on the gate. And now the next important building or place of interest I'm going to share with you is the tomb of Hafiz Shirazi. Alright? Now the tomb of Hafiz Shirazi is also known as a Hafiziyah to the local. Right, is located in the city of Shiraz and is comprises of two memorial structures both built in the year 1935 in memory of the celebrated Persian poet Hafiz. It's an open pavilion structures house the marble tomb of Hafiz and is situated in the Musalla garden on the northern bank of seasonal river. So as usual, from here, from this place, you can see that the popularity of the garden formation, right, in Iranian culture is very, very strong. So these the pavilions I mentioned at a higher ground. And you can see there's gardens, well-landscaped gardens. And of course, you can't do away with pond or pool. A very big park where people take their rest. And this is the marble tomb of Hafiz, and was housed in these open pavilions in hexagonal shape, in shape or size. And this is the top of this open, the roof, the soffit of the ceiling of this octagonal open pavilion where the tomb, the marble tomb of Hafiz is placed. Some are building within this Hafiz tomb area. You can start to see that the rich Iranian Islamic architecture style surface on the building surrounding this Hafiz tomb. The beautiful artworks. The wooden craftsmanship is superb and high standards. Iranians, ancient craftsmen, are very, very rich in brickworks. The craftsmanship on brickwork is excellent, and so far is one of the best nations I have visited that exhibit very high level of craftsmanship on brickworks. So let's move on to another very important building or mosques in our visit to Shiraz. It's a Nasr Al-Mulk mosque. Now this is a very popular mosque amongst other ancient mosques in Iran and was built from 1877 and completed in the year 1888. Took about 11 years to build. And it's very popular among photographers. I will share with you later on why it says so. But let's go on some of the historical facts about this mosque. It's located in the city of Shiraz and is widely regarded as the Pink Mosque. Remember the word Pink Mosque. And also one of the most beautiful mosques in Iran due to its unrivaled tiles decoration. And the Salatat works for its so-called interior. Now this beautiful prayer hall have arched ceiling, rests on stone columns with spiral groove. And the columns are in two rows of 6 columns each to make the number 12. Why 12 numbers of columns? These 12 numbers of columns represent the number of Shia leader. This prayer hall has 7 entrances that was separated from the courtyard by 7 sets of decorative wooden doors with stained glass on it. The floor of the mosque prayer hall is paved with turquoise tile and are now protected with pattern-rich red color carpets when we visit, during our time of visit. Now this mosque also has a northern and southern portico, or rather we call it prayer hall, a wide courtyard on the northern section with a rectangular stone pool with a fountain in it. And the tileworks in both the north and southern prayer hall also attract the attention of most visitors, particularly due to its tileworks, intricate tileworks. What makes this mosque unique from others, besides the unrivaled pink color tileworks with floral figure and verses of the Qurans on the ceiling and bullish mosaic tilework on the arch beam, is the extensive use of colored tiles, right, colored glass in the window facade, that make this mosque one of the uniqueness from the other mosques. And the pattern formed by this stained glass in the windows facade actually displaying the traditional design element such as a punch case design. Now this mosque been crowned as one of the Persian Islamic architecture masterpiece, and for this reason it is also a must-visit mosque in Shiraz of Iran. So this is to share with you now the images taken during visiting to this mosque. Look at the tileworks on all the facade of the building facing the courtyard. Remember that the first on the last episodes when I'm sharing with you on the mausoleums, we already noticed this form of Iwan's design, I1 or IWAN, I1 the term it. This form of shape of entrance they call it I1 style, right? And you can see that this is very, very popular and one of the typical architecture style that you can find in Iran. And you can see the construction is in 3D. The tilework was done in 3D dimensions. And just have a closer look of this, you can see that how intricate this tiling work was done. And again, I would like to remind you that my travelogue is best to be viewed on larger screen, particularly if we view on TV. So you can see how intricately this tower was done and so colorful. The pinkish colors of the tileworks is the main attraction of this mosque. I should say the tower is very, very extensively done. And in my opinion, actually is hard to find elsewhere in the world except in Iran. In fact, you need to spend a bit more time. If you have a chance to visit to this mosque, I wish that you can have half a day at least to spend. Because for photographer, I wouldn't think even half a day may be enough. Now, this is the part where we call why they get the name Pink Mosque. It's in this prayer hall, you realize that actually beside the main attraction is the tileworks on the arch, right? On those columns, the beams that supporting the prayer hall. It's also the stone column. Remember, you see the carving And on top of that actually is the turquoise tiles, the green colors tiles. But it was now in this image that was covered by the red carpet. And the attraction is on the left hand side. You can see that the windows or the door that actually been decorated with beautiful stained glass. And this is actually the dream place of most photographers. If you get right at this place at the right time, particularly at the sunset time where the sun shines through, right, from the courtyard into this prayer hall, then you should be able to even have some very beautiful images taken. In fact, if you have a chance to search in the YouTube, and you can find some of the exhibited pictures taken by some of the photographers. Actually, they are capitalizing on the lighting of the setting sun and producing a very, very excellent images of this pink mosque, particularly in this prayer hall. You can see this effect on this circular dome-like ceiling is because of the shadow posed by the two columns on both ends. So giving you a cross. Actually, this is not a cross. Actually, it's due to the shadow casted by the columns nearby. In fact, I was quite regretted that I should have taken much more images by getting close to it itself. As far as concerned, I realized that when I go through my pile of images, I realized I have not get close enough to some of these architecture design and patterns on the wall and also on the ceiling. But anyway, I'm still quite happy with the images that I have taken. Here, that's what I meant, that if in this prayer hall and you face out, facing the window, and when the light from the courtyard shine through these stained glass windows or door, you can see how magnificent view is. It's awesome to me. It's beautiful, very colorful interiorly. My timing at the time when I took this picture is still not a perfect time for taking because you have a late evening where the sun is right at the horizon level. Then you can see the sun ray is really punched through the window or the door, the stained glass, into the prayer hall at the time. The image is even more stunning. Then we go to another very important and also the last of the important places that we have visited in Shiraz. There's a Narajasthan Kwawan. Now, Narajasthan Kwawan is also commonly known as the Kwawan House. It's a traditional and historical house in the Shiraz city. Now it has turned into a museum open for public viewing. The house was built between 1879 till 1886, and the owner were merchants from the Quavins. It stood 2 meters above ground and is mainly made of bricks and decorated with mirror, paintings, tileworks, stucco plastering works, and inlay. A good representation of architectural styles of Qajar periods of Iran. Now, the main attractions of this traditional house is the mirrored porch. What I mean is actually the mirror works and painting decoration on wall and low ceiling, which exclusively contain architectural style from the Victorian era of Europe. You can see the influence of Europe start coming in during this era. Outside, the building wall exhibit a bas relief of Achaemenid soldiers, lions, tombs, and pictures of fighting mythological creatures, which has been inspired by carving at Persepolis, because the Persepolis is not far from Shiraz city. So let's move on to the image of this last part of the place of interest in Shiraz, which I'm going to share with you. A beautiful gardens, as usual. You can't run away with canals or pool or pond. This is the typical characteristic of the Iranian architectures. Here you can see this merchant building proper. Again, you can see that the tileworks is well exhibited on both at the facade of all the building, mostly in Iran. The tileworks is very exclusive. A very unique creatures, and you will find this also, this style of images symbolizing a kind of best, or it looks like a tiger, but it doesn't exactly look like tiger, and was always having a cow or cattle or buffaloes under their mouth, the mouth, and it seemed to be this type of painting. It also can appear in the carving, particularly in Persepolis. And when I'm showing the session 2 of my travelogue to Iran, I will then showcase an episode on Persepolis, and by then you can understand what I'm trying to illustrate to you or try to convey to you. And these carvings, you can have something quite close, quite similar to Eastern Asia, or rather the Central Asia, where close to the India, or Pakistan. And this is actually carving very resemblance the carving in Persepolis. And likewise, this creature. And you can see, as usual, you can see stained glass windows appear in all corners of those historical buildings. A very interesting ceiling works, and the mirror works in these sections. Although you will start compare with my last episodes in the mausoleum, of course, you can't compare with that mirror works in that mausoleum, but I believe that the mirror work here is equally of high standards, and also equally breathtaking for the viewer. I'm very fascinated of the ceiling work exhibited in this building. Then this is actually the exterior wall of this building. You can see that the influence of Europe is creep in. Europeans design a sort of surface on the stucco plastering works. This is even more prominent. So you can see that actually you can from these quadrants you can see that there's the influence of Europeans is very, very strong, and this is actually the influence during the Victorian era. Okay, so this is about all of what I'm going to share with you on Shiraz, and we're going to move on to another great city in the southern part of Iran in my 5th episodes of my travels. And I hope that you remain stay tuned to my programs, and if you are entertained and you like my travel channel, please help me to share and promote this travel channel, and by subscribing to support for me to continue produce more interesting travelogues to come. Alright, and for all my friends around the world, please stay strong and stay safe, and I wish to everybody our good health, and at the same time please remember to subscribe to my channel, and see you next week, and bye.